you're gonna hold me down. I said, I'm going gray and tinsel down.
You're a beast.
There's no way you're gonna hold me down, 'cause I was born to entertain, and
Show
you
them what a
can't
real woman looks
take
like.
that away. I'm going gray all in your face. You can't replace this. It's going down, we're going gray in Tinseltown.
Hello, Going Gray in Tinseltown listeners. I'm Mandy May Cheetham, your host of Going Gray in Tinseltown. I know I say this every time, but I'm actually really excited for this episode. This is the very first interview that I did with a Silver Sister. That's a woman who's part of the Silver Sisters community, typically on Instagram, but there's a lot of Facebook groups as well. This woman's name is Karen Rich, and I met her at my first Silver Sisters meetup in the Valley that I talked about in the last episode. This was the first time Karen and I were really hanging out, so we've become great friends since then, and our conversation is really perfect for anyone who's gray curious or currently going through the gray grow out, because we get into the details of what those first few months are like. So I'm really looking forward to this. She's an actress also. Enjoy. Like, I was like so mean to myself, and it's just amazing, this critic that's lives in my head.
The critic, it's toxic. I hate the critic.
So I was going to tell you earlier that there's this mantra that I use when I'm judging myself and judging others, and like even saying when the work is really good, I'm still judging it, like whether I'm judging it to be good or bad.
Right.
And it's just, I forgive myself and others.
Mm-hmm. That's something that I need to look into the mirror and say. I need to look into my own eyes and tell myself I forgive myself. Mm-hmm. And that it sounds so cheesy, but that I love myself. Because, I mean, in the beginning, of course, it'll be a fake it till you make it, because it just feels so it feels cheesy, but it's so necessary. Mm-hmm. When you come up with these things that really challenge, you get into a status quo, and you can pretend that things aren't the way that they are. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, you don't put a mirror in your room. You don't check. I mean, this is all very surfacey. You don't check, your hair or whatever, but then a picture comes and you see what other people see. And it's such an awakening, and sometimes not such a great thing. But what I need to do is get used to seeing myself and looking truly at myself. And I don't know, it's almost like talking to that little one. And just like, look, I talk to myself the way that I talk to my kids.
Well, what's so interesting about Going Gray is that I realized how important that story is. Like how, like you're saying, like that story just sort of is the status quo for you. You don't really even realize that it's there kind of as the ceiling of where you can go emotionally. Mm-hmm. And I started to see how all these stories were completely 100% fabricated, and even the ones that I thought were the truth, right. Like you just start dyeing your hair when it goes gray. I never even questioned that.
Never questioned. For me, I was so young. I was 18. Who is 18 and gray? Nobody. Mm-hmm. So of course the first thing I was going to do was dye it. Mm-hmm. There was no other. I mean, like you said, there's no. Let it go gray. My mom dyes her hair. My sister dyes her hair. My sister had gorgeous gray, just stripe in the front. And that was it. She had this dark, dark hair and this gorgeous gray stripe. And she kept that for a while, which was awesome, because she was 18 and she had this awesome gray stripe. But once it started to spread, she dyed it. Mm. My mom dyed it. So it was just the way that it was. Mm-hmm. My other sister did not get prematurely gray. So, but my dad has the whole, male pattern baldness, and he never dyed his hair. It was always white, but that was a guy. Mm-hmm. It was my dad. It was, that just wasn't even in my thought that I could be a little more like him, mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's definitely the story we tell ourselves. That's what it is. And then, you can make excuses. It's fun. You can do funky things with it, do weird colors, and can express yourself that way. you get so many bad haircuts, you decide you're not going to cut your hair anymore, but you can play with the color, you know? Oh, I can play with the color. And so that just becomes another way of expressing yourself, but it's so toxic. It's, how often did we scratch our heads bloody because of whatever reaction was happening with the dye? But that's just what it was. That's just what happened. Every 3 weeks, I dye it. Then I have that itchy scalp for 3 days. And then it passes-ish. But then, 2.5 weeks later, you're doing it again.
You know what was interesting? I would find that I would know it was time to dye my hair because the dandruff would come back. It was like always around the time when I needed to dye it. And then it would concern me because I would need to wash with like Nizoral or some kind of, anti-dandruff shampoo.
Right.
But then my scalp would be like raw before I went back in. Like, I mean, if you do that the night before and it's like fire on the scalp.
I don't know what those things are called, like the dermatitis or whatever you get on your head where it becomes, you scratch so much, you get like, you dig almost like scabs get there and then you dig out the scabs. Sorry, this is so disgusting.
It's okay.
But you dig out the scab and it's basically an open wound in your head.
Yeah.
And then you have to go to the salon and have them paint toxic chemicals onto an open wound. That's fire as well.
Yeah.
So these are things that we just sat and we did because it was normal, right? But I'll tell you, my scalp has never been healthier.
Did your scalp start tingling when you stopped dyeing your hair?
I don't remember. But I just remember, like I said, I feel like the health of my scalp. I didn't have that anymore. I didn't have these crazy itching fests where I would just tear my scalp apart. Now, maybe if I let myself go a little too long without washing my hair.
Yeah.
I have curly hair, so it's fine to extend the periods of times between washings. But, if you're active, then it kind of sits on your head for a little while. It gets itchy, but nothing like it used to be. And I don't think it was dandruff for me. I think it was just like dead skin from being burned.
Because it was huge chunks.
Huge flakes. Yeah. And you're looking and you're like, what is that? I think it was the dye also flaking off. And if I had dark hair, I would do like almost close to black. And I would get these huge flakes of almost gray. I was like, that's not my head. That's dye coming off of my head. So many things pointing towards.
So embarrassing.
It's so embarrassing. Yeah, so I'm thrilled that my scalp is healthier. My hair is so much healthier. It just used to have a fried out quality that it doesn't have anymore.
Mine still does at the end.
Right, the dyed parts.
I realized my blow dryer is too high. Like I just fried the ends of my hair and I just got it cut. So I need to go back and get it cut again because I fucking fried them. The blow dryer is too hot.
Yeah.
The blow dryer is the next thing to go for me.
Yeah, this whole curly girl movement. Some people are totally heat free, totally any kind of styling, like utensils, like a flat iron for sure, but even hair drying, totally just go air dry. And so I find that the texture of my hair looks better when I air dry. I don't have as much frizz, but it takes forever because my hair's thick. So I'm trying to find a middle ground. I'm trying to find diffusing is a little bit easier because it's not just direct heat. But I get
it's not on the scalp.
No, it's not. And it just gets fried out, though. I mean, it doesn't get fried out. It gets frizzy.
Someone said to me that they thought that tingling on my head was nerve damage, which I honestly would not be surprised. I've burnt my scalp so many times with the blow dryer and also the dye, right? Like,
it's so, I mean, the money alone that you save, I was going every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
$185 a pop.
Yeah. Without a blow dry.
Without a blow dry. Just the color.
Yeah.
Maybe a cut. Maybe she'd throw in a cut because I'd been with her for so long. And everywhere, I mean, I told you this before, but, I was on a month-long trip driving across country in an RV with my family. And in the middle of Ohio, I had to find a place to get my hair done because my roots were showing. And that didn't make me happy. Sitting for 3 hours in a chair in the middle of my vacation with my kids and my husband at Starbucks next door, free Wi-Fi.
God.
It was so ridiculous.
Yeah.
So all of these things, they don't have to be. Like you said, it doesn't have to be the narrative for all of us, that gray equals dying. You don't have to. And now there is a movement. I mean, there are a lot of people who are accepting, I think, is the first, is the first step. And then maybe taking that step too. I don't know if people have said anything to you. Do they know?
Not yet.
In the beginning, it's hard because people are still kind of going, does she know that her roots are showing?
Yeah. Oh, I know, motherfucker.
Should I remind her? Should I tell her that her... It's like, they're like, no, I don't look in the mirror. No, I'm so ugly and disgusting with these roots. I don't know. But thanks for pointing it out to me. So people are hesitant to say things, but they are not hesitant to give you some pretty nasty-ass looks.
Right.
I'll tell you that.
I was shocked at that. So we went to a Silver Sisters lunch together. There was, 8 of us, I think, and this was the first time you and I met.
Yes.
And when I walked into the restaurant, I was one of the last ones to arrive, and there were these women sitting at the front on the patio.
Young women. Oh, no. I thought you were talking about the hostesses.
No, not the hostesses. There were these, 50-ish women sitting on the patio, and one of them looked up at me like I was naked.
And stealing her food.
Yeah. And her husband at the same time.
Her husband at the same time.
I was shocked.
No, it's pretty nasty. People just have such a nasty attitude about things that are not normal to them. If you choose to tattoo your whole body, if you choose to, I don't know, pierce your face, it's like you bring them closer to their mortality or something when you show this gray hair. Or how could you be okay with having your roots a different color than the rest of your head, my poor baby?
But she wasn't poor babying.
No.
It was almost like, how dare you break the code?
How dare you? Now we all have to think about it, and now we all have to be ashamed of the fact. It's like, I am not doing this for you. I am not asking you to stop dyeing your hair. That's the thing. People will start coming up to you and saying things like, your gray is so beautiful. I would do it if I knew my gray was going to be that beautiful. You're so brave. That's the other one. You're so brave. No, I'm not brave. Just because I'm letting my roots show doesn't mean I'll run into a burning building to rescue your cat. I am not brave. I'm just freaking sick of dyeing my hair.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, to weather the comments, to weather the looks, there's a certain amount of bravery that to have, the skunk stripe so evidently showing. There is, I hate to use the word brave though, because that's not on par with firefighters and police officers and military people. In my opinion, maybe I'm saying something insensitive, but I think that and I wish maybe I'll think about the word that I would prefer it to be, because I think it's risky. It's definitely risky. It's definitely risky in the business of entertainment. That's for sure. I didn't go back until I was already fully transitioned. So I'll think about that, because brave is a word you could use, but I don't feel like it encompasses it correctly. So I'll think about it.
Well, I think that choice of word is more about the person using it than who they're talking to.
Very true. Very true. That is a really good point. To them, it feels brave.
Well, it feels scary.
It's
scary.
It's true. It feels scary, so then they think that you're brave for doing it. That makes sense. Because it's really, and in the beginning stages, where it's pretty much until it gets to your eyes that people start to feel that they know you did it, they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
And you feel like, okay, now it looks intentional. I didn't make it to that point. I did the pixie before I got to that point, because my hair was so dark. I just couldn't. I wasn't brave.
Yeah.
I wasn't brave. But I did chop my hair off, which I did not want to do.
Why did you decide to
pixie?
Yeah.
I didn't want the two-tone anymore. And my hair was about your length.
So chin.
It was almost like this weird shag thing that I had going on. I didn't love the haircut either. I was like, well, why don't we just be done? That was kind of also the impetus, was I just wanted to be done with the process. Because, you walk into the bathroom, How many times you walk in the bathroom during the day just to use the restroom and you stare at your, I don't know if you do it, but you pull your thing back, your bangs back, and you're like, has it gotten more in the last
I did for the
20
first
minutes?
month. Like, it was like constant.
Oh yeah. Every time you walk past. And I just got tired. I got tired of that. And I'm not a very patient person, so I chopped it off. And then I let the pixie grow, which was almost harder than the gray. Because I'm not a fan of short hair myself.
There's a thing that I've been sort of experiencing where, well, at the beginning especially, and it actually goes back even farther to this acting class that I was in, where the teacher was bringing up this thing that I had that was interfering with my work about worrying about being fuckable.
Okay.
So fuckable is, you can say it however you want, like beautiful, perfect,
Sure.
young, whatever that means.
Fuckable is really well,
It's a
it
good
encompasses it
Yeah.
quite well.
Yeah. So when I realized how much of my time and energy I had been spending making sure that I was fuckable, I was angry. Because I felt like it was one of those things that was put upon me, that was just the thing that you did, that you had to be fuckable all the time. And especially if you were kind of hot, then that was your value.
Yes.
And so when I realized that, I swung totally in the other direction. Well, I'm not going to be fuckable at all then. I'm not going to wear
Extremes,
makeup.
yes.
I'm going to stop dyeing my hair.
Was that your reasoning for Okay.
No. Well, I stopped for a little while and then I just didn't have the guts to do it. I didn't realize there was an option.
Right.
Still.
Of course.
And this was last fall, maybe. And I realized, okay, I don't need to be so extreme with this response to this. It's okay that I'm still sexual or beautiful or want to fuck or like whatever. Okay, I'm going to take it easy. But it was the opening of the gate into the space. So when I decided to stop dyeing my hair, one of the things that I did, I went on Instagram and told everyone that I was going to go to this audition with my roots showing and not dyeing my hair anymore.
How dare you?
I know. And that was like, I got some backlash. But it was really important for me to do it publicly so that I had to keep my word.
Yes, some accountability, sure.
So then the stories like that I was telling myself about it came back to that place again of like, okay, well, this means I'm no longer fuckable. I'm no longer fertile, and I'm probably not going to work again as an actress, so I need to be ready to let go of these things and just jump off the cliff and see what happens. So, like, I still dressed and, like, did my hair and everything, but I let it kind of grow till it was kind of gross and too long, whereas I would have gotten to get a cut before. It's like I didn't know how to maintain my looks anymore.
Right.
It was very confusing. And then this new color's coming out around my face, and now things that used to look good on me don't look good anymore.
The color thing is ridiculous. Like new eyebrow tinting color, because it's not black, it's not brown. What do you do?
Yeah.
And yeah, the matching is crazy. But so interesting to me that, so not only did you have these like, am I fuckable or not things, once the gray started to come in, then it's that added layer of invisibility. And what's the word? And it's talk about getting old, man. I can't remember one word ever.
I know.
Irrelevance. That, and plus added to the fact that, is this a proper use of the word? I'm a Luddite. Luddite. I don't know how to use anything electronic. So here I have grandma hair, and I'm acting like my grandma. My 14-year-old. Hey, how do you do the Mom, just push it. I don't even know what button you're talking about. It's like, oh my God, I can't. It's crazy. And so it adds, and to feel invisible, because especially when your hair looks weird, quote unquote, you've got the gray roots coming, the rest is not. I mean, I can totally relate with this fuckable thing. Not even fuckable, just feeling attractive to the opposite sex. Eyes skim over you.
I had someone crash into me in the first couple of days, like fucking walk right into me, like I wasn't even there.
Right. And that's just so, it's like the underlining. You just feel invisible and you feel irrelevant.
But you know what? The interesting thing is, this is a story too. And like your Luddite thing is
Exacerbated.
by this other story you're telling yourself. And like me walking out and having this guy bump into me is exacerbated by me telling myself I'm no longer fuckable.
Oh, isn't it weird how the universe, and I'm not a la la kumbaya person.
I am.
But it's like sometimes those lessons are literally hit you in the face.
Yeah.
The stories that we tell ourselves are underlined by what happens in the universe. You know, I'm invisible. Clunk, someone bumps right into me.
The universe gives you the chance to act that out and see if it's really true.
Yeah, and that's...
And I'm sorry, but in LA, it's a vortex. Like, the universe acts very quickly here. So I have this story about living in New York versus living in LA, how I would try to explain it to people. And it's like in New York, I'd wake up and I'd look in the mirror and I'd be like, you're a badass. And then I'd go downstairs and I'd start walking down the street and I'm like, I'm a badass. And then some like street dweller will trip me, push me down in the gutter and be like, you think you're fucking badass? You're not fucking badass. And spit in my face. And I'd be like, yeah, you know what? I'm not fucking badass. I don't know what I was thinking. And then get up and go, you know, along the way. LA, I wake up, look in the mirror, I'm a badass. Go out, get in my car, drive for 45 minutes, I'm a badass. Get to the party, walk in, everyone looks at you and goes, ooh, you're a badass. Look at you. You're like, yeah. And then like 3 days later, you're in the gutter, no clothes, everything's been stolen, and you don't remember the last 3 days because you took yourself down your own road and knocked yourself on your ass.
That's true.
Right?
LA is so weird. Because it's not like you said, it's not like someone else kicks you to the curb. You just fuck it all up yourself.
Take yourself out.
And I don't know if that's just us weird, like, self-sabotageurs, or if that's just everybody. I mean, are there actors who don't self-sabotage themselves? Are there performers who don't self-sabotage? There have to be. They must do it in other ways. Maybe not in their acting, because how could you be successful? But maybe they self-sabotage in relationships or...
I think that there's a difference between the intelligent actor and the...
Lucky?
Intelligence, not the wrong... Lucky. There's a brain actor and there's a body actor. And the body actors have an easier time, I think, of getting into the world of acting without their brains getting in the way. Those of us who are intellectual, let's say, have a lot more blocks to work through.
Yeah, we're just fucked up.
But once we do work through them, you're Meryl Streep.
Right, you get really, really good.
Yeah. But the body actors tend to be able to do a lot of the same stuff in a really interesting way. Like, you know, like, I don't know enough about Marlon Brando, but it seems to me like he's a body actor. And I've met a lot of guys, young guys that are like that, and they just sort of fall into their work, and they're really just grateful, and they're just like amazing to watch because there's this sexual energy and it's really body directed. But then you have like a lot of women, especially us in our 40s, 50s, who if we haven't mastered the discipline of getting our brain out of the way and getting into our bodies, can just roll on down into the hole.
How much stigma is wrapped around a woman using her body, though?
Hello. Thank you for saying that. I never thought of that.
Because we can't. It's not okay for us to be sexual because then we're sluts. It's not okay to lead with our pelvis like guys do, or like tits out. You know, it's too exposing. And because we've been, hey, chicky, smile.
That's not
or
safe.
hey, sexy, come here, or smack my ass in the middle of a party or in a bar. It's not. So then when you do that, are you asking? Are you asking for it? Because that's what they'll tell you. You were asking for it. So it's really hard. We've been so beaten down by be smart, be assertive, be funny.
Well, it's also a safety thing because I was talking to my Meisner coach about it, and he was saying that he can watch exercises where two women go up and it's just torture to watch because it's so passive aggressive and there's nothing driving the exercise because they're just circling each other, trying to figure out if they're safe, what they can reveal, what they can release, because it's
we're so used to having this like boom, this rubber band, like just smacking us in the face. It's pretty awful. But I think that, I don't know, I think there's something to be said about, like you said, about getting more secure in your body, trusting your physical impulses more. And maybe that's just from being in a safe environment, being in
100%.
a class that you really feel safe in. That's really, it's an interesting thing to kind of...
We have to practice feeling safe under duress. Because when you're on set, you're under duress.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
In an audition, you're under duress.
Absolutely. And so, getting into those physical exercises, those physical relaxation things, or even just, I don't know, do a little dance before you go in. I don't know what it is, whatever we all have to do to identify where that is for us physically. But yeah, I mean, you go into those auditions and you feel completely locked. And so it's difficult.
That same class that I was in before, where she was talking about being fuckable, I realized that I was completely disconnected from the lower half of my body in my work. And thinking that I was connected. When I was making music and rapping, that's when I would connect to my vagina. And one of the reasons why is because I was on stage and no one could get near me.
You felt
safe.
safer, yeah.
And there's not a scene partner. There's no one can touch me. I am on stage. This is my space. Back the fuck up.
Right.
And I am a beast on stage. It's like shocking what comes out of me. But that's the power of the vagina.
It's the power of the vagina, but you're right.
That's our creative center. And men, that's why. This is what I'm saying. That's the body and the brain. It's like, so now when I started to grow my hair out, every time I write, I want to masturbate. It's like I'm so connected to my whole body that I get horny when I'm writing.
Really amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, no, it's fantastic. What a great thing to acknowledge and understand. As we get older, we just shut this shit out.
Yes.
And why shouldn't we feel fuckable at 40, 50, 60, 70? Why shouldn't you? And what does gray hair make you feel unfuckable for? It's gorgeous, and it's just a fucking hair color.
Yeah.
That's our mission, okay? As performers, as actors, as models, as whatever, our mission, especially as 40-year-olds, 40-ish-year-olds, we have to, and as hard as it is, we have to keep putting ourselves out for that rejection now because it's still not the norm.
Yeah.
But we have to keep coming back because and this sounds dumb and it sounds a little like superhero-y, but there's a huge population of people who don't want to do it because they feel like they're not represented. It's like now finally, people are wanting quote unquote plus size models, size 8 and above, plus size models, tattooed people, gauges in their ears and their lips and their nose, that they want this. They want it diverse.
Yeah.
Because they're finally freaking opening their eyes and saying, hey, the majority actually of people are not wayfish 0 unless they're 10 years old. And hey, people are going to buy more from campaigns that they recognize themselves.
Yeah.
So I feel like if we keep coming back and keep coming back, there's got to be someone somewhere who's going to be like, you know what? That's what we need.
Right.
We need to have someone who doesn't look like the norm, and she's beautiful, and she's got silver hair, and it's going to start to go. But right now, it's almost like you got to be like 50 and above.
Yeah. Well, you and I know, and I know statistically, and I'll repeat this every single episode, but 32% of women under 30 are going gray. That's a lot of women.
And you'd never know.
Never know.
Even on the gray pages, on Instagram, Silver Sisters and Grombre, and there are a few who come on, and there was this experience on our page, and it was really so sad.
And what's your page?
It's Silver Sisters 2020, and we were featuring people who will be coming to our convention in July of 2020, and in Los
LA.
Angeles, California, people. And she is actually our age. She's an incredibly young face, and she is just starting her transition. The picture that we posted, You could really not see a lot of her gray hair, but it didn't matter because she's on the journey. She has 5 gray hairs. If she has 5 million gray hairs, she's on her journey. And 2 people commented, I can't see the gray.
Because you know what it feels like when one little teeny poke of silver is sticking out when it's just your roots and you can't fucking function.
No.
Because you're walking around knowing it's like a 4-foot chin hair to you.
Yes, absolutely. It's so embarrassing. It's that horrible halo that makes you look like your hairline is receding. And 2 people attacked on, these are silver sisters. So if we get this kind of, abuse, I won't say it wasn't, I mean, some of them were a little nasty.
Yeah.
But, and the last thing I wanted was for her to feel like that was the temperature of where, so I immediately wrote to her and I said, please don't let this be what you think that we are. Because I jumped and I tried to be nice about it and, hey, we're all on different journeys and let's all be supportive, okay? But it was rough. So, gosh, if we can't even support each other, just think of what this outside freaking world is. It's just everybody wants to shut you down and put some dye on that shit.
Yeah.
Because it's too much of what I'm doing. It's too much. It's too much of what I don't know, what I feel. I don't know. People think that they feel like they should be letting their gray grow when they see you. And that's not my point. My point is just for me. This is for me. But I don't remember how I got on that tangent. But there are people who don't want to do it. That's why. There's people who don't want to do it because they feel like they're going to be made fun of, or they're going to lose their fuckability, or their husbands or spouses. Men are doing it too. Deciding to ditch the dye, and their spouses are unsupportive.
There was a bunch of old hair dye commercials that I found that I'm using as ads for this podcast. And one of them is like, they're Clairol
They're
ads.
all Clairol.
Yeah, and the one that's like, your husband will feel younger just to be near you, or some shit. Like, why is that my fucking responsibility?
No, why is it? And look at the husband. A lot of times, he'd let himself go.
Yeah.
Like tubby and but you're the one who needs it. And that's just, it's amazing how like even before we were even born, all that shit is passed down.
I will say that so I'm on Hinge, which is a dating app. I've been dumped and stood up twice this week, just as an aside, so that's exciting.
Stupid guy.
But I get most of the people who respond to me are men between the ages of 19 and 28.
Isn't that interesting?
Really interesting. I refuse to respond to any of them because my son is 26.
Yes,
so
that
feels weird.
Too Oedipal.
But when I started to go gray and have the real meltdowns around it, I was like thinking about dating a younger guy because I felt like it would give me this false, like, external source of energy. Yeah, and youth. Yeah, that I got it.
That's really interesting because I'll tell you, a lot of people who share with me, not even with me asking, but they'll say, oh, I can't do it. I'm single and I'll never get attention. I'm telling you, all of us on Instagram are like, how do you get these guys to stop messaging me? And half the time they're fake accounts, but so often, hello, dear. Hi, dear. You're just so gorgeous, dear. Oh, hello, dear. You get all these, you get a lot of attention, unwarranted, but, and so I don't think it's as much of a stigma to guys. And a lot of the women who say they get complimented randomly on the street will say, and it's from a man who says, wow, I just wish my wife would let her hair go that, her natural color. And I mean, and I'll tell you, my husband at first was like, don't you think it might make you look a little older? And I was like, fuck you, I'm doing it anyway. And almost I was like, fuck you, I'm doing it now even more because you said that. And my hairdresser too, it's going to make you look older. I was like, well,
mine too.
Then I guess that's what's going to happen.
I was just like, now I'll look my age.
Now, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now he's like, he loves it. He thinks that it's great, that I stand out, that I look different than everybody else. And And he's thrilled that I did it. And he's a huge supporter. And my hairdresser is too. She's like, I'm so proud of you. This is amazing. I just think that you look so gorgeous with
Can
this.
I put you on my Instagram?
And I was like, you wouldn't have let me do it if I was going to be horrible. Just deny that you knew me. It's not always what you think. And another thing that I need to mention, the growing out process is so different than what the finished product is going to be.
Tell me.
So when you compare your grays to the dyed hair that you have, especially where you are right now,
Which is like
5
inches.
I don't know. I'd say probably about 2. Well, it depends. And it's always weird like that because when you wear it back like I always did,
Yeah.
the roots look very stark and like you have a 2-inch like line.
Yeah.
But what happens is there's all the underneath stuff that you can't see, so it's hard to know where exactly that you are.
Yeah.
But when you look at your gray, in contrast to the dye, it does this weird optical illusion where it makes your hair look thinner. It makes you feel like you can see your scalp, and your hair it essentially makes you always feel like your hair is thinning. And also, you will not be able to know the true color of your hair, of what your gray is going to be, because of how stark that line is. So when people say, oh, my gray coming in is awful, and it's dull, and it's not going to look like yours, it's not going to be shiny, you don't know that.
Yeah.
You don't know that. And to tell you the truth, my hair is not, I don't have one color. My hair is not all white. My hair is not all gray. I have this white stripe in the front. I've got silvers, but my back of my hair is it's like dark, almost black looking with these like silver highlight things, but it's totally inconsistent. I got dark on one side, not on the other side. It is so interesting and weird and cool, but crazy. But I never would have known that from 2 inches, 3 inches, 5 inches of growth, maybe 5, you start to get an idea.
Yeah.
But when there's still that dye to contrast it, you do not know.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it is worth it to find out. Worth it to find out, because what's the worst that'll happen? You hate the color and you'll dye your hair. And I'll tell you right now, any of the Silver Sisters, any of the Facebook groups, well, hopefully, our Silver Sisters are supportive, mostly. There have been a couple women that have been on who have, for whatever reason, decided that they wanted to dye. And I'll tell you, their hair, not dye.
Yeah.
Their lives. And everybody's been like, you got to do what's right for you. And if this isn't the right time, then maybe another time you'll do it. You can always dye your hair.
Yeah.
But you cannot make the decision of whether it's pretty or not until you see at least, I don't know, like I said, maybe it's your eyeballs or something like that. It changes too much.
I remember a day specifically when I pulled my hair back, and it was the first time that I didn't see any color.
Isn't it a crazy thing?
Oh,
And you're like,
this
is what I'm
about
gonna.
it makes me want to cry.
This
It
is
was
what I'm
like-
gonna look like. It's an
Yeah.
amazing moment.
It's like being born.
Yeah, it's for me. It was like taking off a mask, is what I likened it to. A mask I didn't even really know I was wearing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know?
I had no idea. I had no idea the ride I was in for.
Yeah,
I was
no.
just like, I think that this is poisoning me. I can't do
doing it for my
anymore.
health, yes.
I also am planning my entire life around when my hair is dyed or not dyed. And the thought of putting that shit on my head, the smell, can't do it.
I had a dream the other day that someone dyed my hair while I was sleeping. I was so mad. I woke up and I was like, and I went and I ran to the bathroom. I mean, I knew it didn't happen, but it was the worst feeling. And this person that did it was so like, you needed to dye your hair. It looked terrible, And I was like, 2 years, it was terrible. But you fight for it, man. You fight. And then it starts to become this badge of honor. You start to become people. It's not for other people, but you do start to feel like a pioneer. You start to feel like, hey, when people start to stop you at Target and they're like, your hair is so pretty, what do you do? Or is that natural?
Yeah.
Or there's some amazing women when I had 2 inches of regrowth were like, Your hair's gorgeous.
I ran up to a woman. I'm
I'm
noticing
going to do this so I can remember.
gray-haired women. We do what?
No, it's so I can remember a point when you're saying.
Oh, no,
Go ahead.
finish.
No. It's what you're about to say. So go ahead.
I ran up to a woman at the gym yesterday, and I was naked. I had like a towel around me, but I was like, she was totally gray, and I go, I feel like I'm the caterpillar and you're the butterfly.
I love it.
And she was like, what? And I was like,
I'm going to take off my towel, see?
I'm dyeing my hair and you're already gray. And she got really uncomfortable, and she launched into this whole story about how she and her husband were riding their bikes, and someone yelled out the window at them that they were old. And it's like, wow, 2 old people riding bikes on the west side. That's so west side or some shit. And they were like, what? We don't think of ourselves as old.
People are so crazy.
So ridiculous. But like, and then she's like, sometimes I die around here because I look like so-and-so, like somebody, I don't remember who, but it just like, I saw her get so uncomfortable, and she was trying to get changed for her exercise class, and I'm standing there staring at her like a fangirl, and she's like I could tell she wanted to get naked but didn't want to do it in front of me. So I finally like shut the conversation down and walked away. But it was like, man, I realized how individual of a journey it is.
Oh, it is so individual.
And you just never stop dealing with the aging thing, you know.
Even though she's fully, and it's because people are stupid and they'll say dumb shit like that but they'll say shit like that over everything. But what I was going to say is it is a very lonely journey, and it is a very individual journey. Even if you're doing it with someone else, you know, you're bound to be in different places, you know, and people on Facebook that I started around the same time. My hair grows at a different rate, and they're keeping theirs long, but I chop mine off. You know, there's always a different twist to where you are in the journey. But that being said, like you kind of experienced, there's this like, there really is kind of like this sisterhood, you know, like the Harley driver, Harley, you know, when they like do their little like, hey, what's up, when you pass by each other. It's kind of almost a similar thing where you're like, you don't hold back when you want to compliment somebody for their journey and so you'll be like, your gray is so beautiful, or your hair is so gorgeous, or I love your curls. You know, I am forever complimenting people on their hair because I know, especially gray, but also just like curls and, you know, whatever. But a lot of times, you know, I'll be on these commercial auditions, and there's these just, you know, a whole plethora of different silver-haired people, ages and looks, and we're all complimenting each other. And it's funny enough, sometimes I see some of the Instagram people that I follow, so I'll be like, you're this one, right? Or you're that one, and we'll have a little conversation. But becomes almost like a little sisterhood, a secret society.
You know what's so cool is like, despite what I was saying earlier about the dirty looks and the attention that I used to get from men on the street, now when I get attention from men, it's intense. It's like fucking intense. But the women, the other women, you know, that like you can see are living invisible lives, and you catch each other's eye, and there's just so much love
and understanding.
And it's like, I want to be part of this. I don't want to be objectified anymore.
Right. But weirdly, you still want to feel attractive.
I want to feel attractive, yes. But I don't need it to be from 20-year-old men.
Right. Yeah. I hear you. Deep. I'm telling you. But yeah, the understanding amongst this age, it's weird. And, you know, and of course, emotionally, I don't feel 45, but it's where I am. And I look, and sometimes even now it's been, I think, you know, it's 2 years that I've done, you know, started the journey. It was March of 2018 that I chopped my hair off. I still surprise myself sometimes when I look in the mirror and I see all that gray hair. Like, who's that? I still think of myself so often. I think of myself with dark hair, long dark hair. It's just my vision of myself.
I don't even know if I have a really interesting relationship with the woman in the mirror, because I was going to say because of acting, but I don't think that's why. I think it actually started when I was a kid, because I was a single child. I was going to say, whoa, that was Freudian. I was an only child, and I used to play in front of the mirror, and I would sometimes cry and like look at her, and she was my buddy, And so now I think of her as another person.
Huh.
So I have all these alter egos, my rap alter ego and my Instagram alter ego is kind of a thing, or is definitely a thing. So a lot of times I feel a bit like a black lab that's fully grown that thinks it's a puppy.
Yes.
Yes. And so I see myself in the mirror and I'm like, whoa, you're attractive. And it's like shocks me when and it always has. It's so weird because I feel like this like awkward, and I wasn't the girl in class with the blonde hair that everyone doted on. I was the kind of like side girl that just was shy and like sort of awkward for most of my childhood. And I remember my mom's friends and my dad's friends would say like, oh, she's going to be a heartbreaker or whatever, which is thanks, thanks for that.
Is that all that I'm going to be?
And also, why'd you name me Mandy? Because that song is just about like heartbreak. You came and you gave without taking, then I sent you away, and now you're 43 and you got dumped and stood up twice in a week. Like, thank you. Anyway.
Self-fulfilling prophecies.
I don't know what the point was. I'm deep diving into some emotional shit right now, but I
know who you see in the mirror. And...
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. It's so
course.
nice to have women who are forgetful to remind each other of where we go in our
It's
conversations.
lucky that I remembered. No, I'm just kidding. I was following
listening. Yeah, so this alternative ego. So this book I've been reading, The Drama of the Gifted Child, talks about the creation of the false self. And
this sounds like a fantastic book.
Yeah. And then I'm reading this other book called The Selfie Generation, which talks about creating one's own mythology. Holy shit. That's exactly what the Instagram thing is. You're creating a mythology about yourself. And it's dangerous.
It's very dangerous.
Whether it's a positive one, even if it's positive, because you build it up and then you get pulled down by the external sense of self.
But it's also so consuming. Whether it's the mythology, whatever it is, good, bad, ugly, beautiful, fake, not fake, I get consumed by social media. I will waste hours and hours on social media because... it's so easy. It's such an easy escape. It's eye candy, and it constantly changes. It is everything that's wrong about today's society,
and aspirational at the same time.
Oh gosh, it's such a mindfuck because you're like, I can be like that, I can do that, but you're sitting there wasting your freaking time. Scrolling. Time is going by. You're not doing anything. You're taking screenshots. How many fucking screenshots do I need of parfaits and motivational frickin' quotes?
Yeah.
But now I've spent 6 hours parfaiting and motivational quoting myself into a big fat ass. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, you don't do.
Last night after I got dumped, I went on Instagram right away. And I was like just scrolling through and it was like numbing my feelings. And I talked to someone, I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was a friend of mine who owns a gallery and has been having lots of shows around this theme. And there's lots of art being created about it right now for sure. And she did some research and found out how we are qualified by Google and all these places, and we're assigned a value essentially based on our worth to advertisers. So if are recently divorced, have been dumped, have a health issue, are moving or about to have a child, or have
your
children, your value is higher. If you've been dumped, you have a higher value on social media. What?
I think I want to go be a farmer. I think I'm going to join the Amish community.
It's a great idea.
I'm going to build furniture.
Oh, there's a backlash coming. This gray hair is part of it. It's part of it.
I have 2 kids. I have a 14-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son who are horrifically addicted to their phones. And not even as bad as some of their friends. Because we are like the phone police in our house. But, oh, I gotta answer this text. Oh, I gotta check this email really quick. We still do it in front of them when they're talking to us. And so what are we showing? We're not showing the same. I mean, we do not eat dinner with our phones at the table. We do not allow them to bring their phones to restaurants. We do not allow them to be on their phones while we are driving them anywhere. My constant motto to my daughter is, what am I, your Uber driver? No, you put your phone away. I don't care if you're staring out the window. No one, they're not alone in their thoughts. There's never a moment where they're alone in their thoughts because there's music. I mean, when we were younger, we listened to music all the time too, but it wasn't in our eardrums.
Yeah.
It was on the radio. We had to wait through the commercials, and we didn't have to flick for the next song because we're done 30 seconds into the song. Luckily, my kids also like musical theater, so they can sit through a 6-minute song. Bohemian Rhapsody is my 12-year-old's favorite song right now.
Cool.
So 6 minutes long, but it's really sad. But when we get home from anywhere, the first thing they do is right to their phones, right to their screens, and it's so scary because I mean, and of course my kids are wonderful kids. I'm gonna say that my kids are wonderful kids, and we try so hard to police it, but it's so scary. It started in, for us, it was as young as 3rd grade where my daughter was invited to a sleepover and they all had their iPads and she didn't have, I was like, no way you're bringing your iPad to a sleepover. Go play with each other. No, they were all on their screens. And I know this is totally diverging into a not gray hair thing, but it is all the same kind of thing. The me, and we all have our me generations, but this constant need to be entertained, and there's no imagination anymore, and everyone needs to look like that booty model, and everyone needs to look. So I guess I'm also feeling a little rebellious with my choice because it's not the norm, and being a little bit younger for what people would expect for someone with gray hair. That's why I alluded to before. Was in this business, I think that I'm going to struggle a little bit to find my place. And sadly, I really hope it doesn't take me 10 years because when I'm 55, that's when it'll be acceptable for me to have gray hair, according to society. I want to start to being acceptable now.
Well, it will be because we're building a network. We're building an audience. And there's nothing that Hollywood likes more than you proving that you have people that are going to buy your product, buy you. So it's really empowering that we're moving together in numbers.
Right.
There's this quote from Gloria Steinem. One day an army of gray-haired women will
that one.
Quietly take over the
Yes,
world. My mom used to say that to me all the time, and I would think, oh, that's you. Even though I was gray, but I was hiding it.
Oh, yeah.
And my mom went gray in her 40s. And, well, she went gray earlier in her 20s, but she stopped dyeing her hair in her 40s. So,
oh, wow, the pioneer.
Yeah, it made it easier for me, even though I was critical of her the whole time and constantly telling her to dye her hair.
Oh, interesting.
And when you're saying this, the example that you're setting for your daughter is so powerful.
I actually asked my kids first what they would think. When I talked to my husband, I asked my kids, what would you think if I stopped dyeing my hair? And my daughter, didn't even hesitate. Do it, Mom. My son was like, but you're not going to look like my mom. It's just like, he wasn't worried that I would look like a grandma or anything. It's just that I wouldn't look like me. And I'm like, it's going to be slow. It's not like I'm going to blink and my hair's going to be all white.
Yeah.
So you'll have a chance to get used to it. But she was amazing. Do it, Mom, do it. She's very much women's rights. And
that's great.
Equality and all that.
The younger girls are not the ones that give me a hard time. They're fucking all over it. And I have this theory that the reason that young women are dyeing their hair gray is because they're so desperate for mentorship and so desperate to connect to like their to be comfortable with their mortality. Because they're the 9/11 generation. Death is real to them, whereas it's not really that real to us because it wasn't in our formative years that we had to deal with it.
Right.
So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the young ones, they just call it like they see it, and they're like, oh yeah, your mom has gray hair. It's not. There's no like judgment to it, or whether there is or not, I don't know. They don't give me dirty looks about it, but it's the hairdressers that give me dirty looks. Like, oh, honey, you just haven't gone the right diet. Yeah, but anyway, it's a movement, and movements take time.
Yeah.
But there are so many people, whether it's people who have done it already, whether it's people who are in the middle of it, or people who are just thinking about it.
Gray curious.
Gray curious. I love that. I love that. They're all part of the journey.
Yeah.
And then even the people who've done it and died for whatever reason, dyed their hair for whatever reason, they're still part of it. Because chances are they're going to do it again. I don't know what the statistics are of that. People who've gone gray and died and gone gray. You know what I mean? It's like, how many times are the serial, ditching the dyers, but they're still part of it.
Well, everyone is, because aging is the thing we're all part of.
Yes.
And this is just a symptom of the thing. It's like a very visible, I'm calling it a radical act of self-love. It's a visible experience that we can have because we're already gray. But everyone else, even if they're not gray, they're still
getting older.
Facing their face and like dealing with the changes in their body.
Oh, yes. And it's hard. It's hard to deal with. And it's a neat experience, especially now when there are other people that you can share it with, because it's kind of an adventure to see like what your hair is going to turn out to be. Not
who am I
when your eyebrow hair falls out and when your cheek wrinkles start to show. That's not as much of an adventure. So this is more of a fun adventure to focus on.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because you also get some really great advice about skin care and makeup, and there's so many amazing people in the community who know a lot about all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you get to learn as a happy bride product. You get to learn what makeup's good for your face and what are the great, skincare lines for 40 and above. And
it feels like puberty all over again. When I remember like trying to find the right shampoo. It's like a lifelong thing to find the right shampoo.
crazy.
And now you get to start all over again because you're not putting the dye in your hair, so you don't have all of those like heavy moisturizers, and like you have to find new products.
You will, because your hair is totally different. My
Yeah.
gray hair is totally, totally, totally different than the way my dyed hair was.
Yeah.
Felt, looked, all of
My
it.
curls have come back.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
I stopped being able to have curly hair for about 5 years
Could have
because it was so
Shirley
much
Temple
dye.
ringlets by the time your gray is all in.
Even the red hair is happier.
Yeah, well, because you're not adding more and more and more and more to it. And you'll see, Katie, who has never stripped her hair, never done anything to the dyed part of her hair.
Yeah.
It is so much lighter.
Yeah.
In the, I don't know how long years, maybe,
I
year
think
plus.
she's at 6. Is she a year or 6 months?
Oh, no,
a
she's
year.
at a year. She just had her year, no dye-versary, silver-versary. And her hair, it's the color is so much lighter.
Yeah.
And it's just because you're so used to piling it on and piling it on and piling it on, you don't get to see, this is what's going to happen with the sun and just natural fading. Your hair just will start to emerge and become happier.
I'm worried about that with this because it's already turning super orange, and I don't know what I'm going to do with the bottom half of my hair. But
Well, there's toners and there's it's putting more stuff on your hair, but sometimes it's
necessary.
the overtone thing, or I haven't done anything like that because I chopped it all up. But there's definitely, and there's always, happy, friendly, more friendly products to put on.
True.
That you can, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't done research on that because I didn't need it. But yeah, toners to just kind of keep the blorange out is what they call it, the blorange. Once it gets to that point, you'll go searching for some products for sure. I am sure.
Well, I'm like really grateful to have this community, and I am so happy that we met. Like someone else who's in my age box, who's an actress. Like you're my first Silver Sister interview. Everyone else that I've talked to maybe has a little bit of gray hair, or they're like younger, or they're actresses who are scared to do it, or they're in their 80s and they're not thinking about it in the same way. It's like just so helpful, to have someone to talk to.
I started back up because of my gray hair.
Acting,
yeah. It wasn't even on my radar again, but I moved back here to LA. I decided to do the silver journey, and then my hair was like, maybe this could be a unique thing. Maybe I could stand out more. Let's try it. So it was my gray hair that brought me back to acting, and it was my gray hair that I did things. I went on open calls for modeling, like lifestyle modeling things, because I was like, why the hell not? You know, there wasn't judgment about my body or my looks because there's such a huge array that people are looking for now. But my gray was the impetus. I've been using that word a lot, but it was the driving force for a lot of these things that I've done. So strangely enough, this thing that was such a difficult decision and such a difficult growing out phase, the transition was so awkward, became this source of confidence for me. Yeah, and I have to just hold on to that and know that if I just keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back to auditions and agents or whatever I have to do, just keep showing my dang face, that eventually someone's going to be like, okay, let's just try it. It's just her hair color.
Yeah. I believe it will happen. Or I wouldn't be doing this myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know. I think it's time.
Yeah.
For the gray-haired army to take over the world.
Yeah.
Maybe not so quietly, though.
Well said. Well said. Thank you so much.
Of course, this was a pleasure.
Yeah, I really am so grateful that you drove all the way here, that you're sitting in my very stuffy closet.
Oh, but there's cute clothes all over the place. Some cute shoes I'm taking some notice
Sparkles. Oh, yeah, that's true. I actually just did it on purpose.
That's
so
right.
you could see my wardrobe.
Absolutely.
We'll definitely have you back again because we're going to work on the 2020 conference.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
July 2020.
July 2020.
Los Angeles, California. Be there.
Silver Sisters in the building.
Yeah, in the
community. In the neighborhood.
In the neighborhood.
Great. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hooray.
You're gonna hold me down. I said, I'm going gray in Tinseltown. There's no way you're gonna hold me down, 'cause I was born to entertain, and you can't take that away. I'm going gray all in your face. You can't replace this. It's going down, we're going gray in Tinseltown.